Hi, this is Fabio, Udacity alumni. I attended Android Developer Nano degree. Today I'm going to run through some of the basic components of the Android system. So what is Android? Android is a stack of open source, Linux-based software designed for a wide variety of devices and formats. The diagram shows the main components of the Android platform. The basis of the Android platform is the Linux kernel. For example, Android Runtime, ART for short, relies on the Linux kernel for underlying functionality such as thread management and low-level memory management. Using a Linux kernel allows Android to take advantage of key security features and allows device manufacturers to develop hardware drivers for a well-known kernel. The hardware abstraction layer, HAL for short, provides standard interfaces that expose the hardware features of the device to the top-level Java API framework. The HAL consists of several library modules, each of which implements an interface for a specific type of hardware component, such as the camera or Bluetooth module. When a framework API calls to access device hardware, the Android system loads the library module for that hardware component. For devices running Android version 5.0 or API level 21 or higher, each application runs in its own process and with its own instance of Android Runtime. Android Runtime is written to run multiple virtual machines on devices with low memory. Many major Android system components and services such as ART and HAL are built from native code that requires native libraries written in C and C++. The Android platform provides Java framework APIs to expose the functionality of some of these native application libraries. The entire Android operating system feature set is available to you through APIs written in the Java language. These APIs are the building blocks we need to build Android applications, simplifying the reuse of central and modular system components and services. These include the view system, used to create user interface of an application, including lists, tables, text boxes, buttons, and even an embeddable web browser. Resource Manager, which provides access to unencrypted features such as localized strings, graphics, and layout files. Notification Manager, which allows all applications to apply custom alerts in the status bar. The Activity Manager, which manages the application lifecycle and provides a common stack of back navigation. The Content Provider, which allows applications to access data from other applications, such as the contacts applications, or share their own data. Activities are one of the fundamental building blocks of applications on the Android platform. They serve as an entry point for user interaction with the application and are also essential for the way the user navigates within an application. Intelligent activity management ensures, for example, guidance changes occur without problems, without interrupting the user experience, that user data is not lost during transitions between activities, and the correct elimination of processes when appropriate. A service is an application component that can perform long-running operations in the background and does not provide a user interface. Content providers can help an application manage access to stored data from both application itself and other applications and provide a way to share data between applications. Android applications can send or receive messages broadcast by the system. These messages are created and sent when an event occurs. For example, when the system boots or when the device starts charging. Applications can send custom broadcasts, for example, to notify application itself or other applications that new data has been downloaded. Now let's have a look at the views component. There are two main categories of views. The first type are UI, user interface components that are generally interactive. The second type are views called layout or container. They extend from a class called view group. They are primarily responsible for containing a group of views and determining where the child views will be located. Let's now have a quick look at the types of menus that you can add in your application. The options menu is the main collection of menu items for an activity. This is where you put actions that have a global impact on the application. The context menu is a floating menu that appears when the user performs a long click on an element. It provides actions that affect the selected content or context frame. A pop-up menu displays a list of items in a vertical list anchored to the view that called the menu. It is suitable for providing actions related to the specific content or providing options for a second part of a command. Let's have a look at how a main activity interacts with the background thread. So in your application, you might have a task that needs to download some data from a server. This will require it to be executed in a background thread so as to leave the main thread uninterrupted. The order of execution will be as follows. onPreExecute is invoked in the UI thread before the task runs. This step is typically used to configure the task, for example, by displaying a progress bar in the user interface. doInBackground is invoked in the background thread immediately after the onPreExecute completes. This method is used to perform the background calculations that can take a long time. Asynchronous task parameters are passed to this method. The result of the calculation must be returned by this method. Alternatively, we can implement progress calculator using publish progress to publish one or more progress units. These values are published in the user interface thread in the onProgressUpdate. OnProgressUpdate method is used to display any form of progress in the user interface while the background calculation is still running. For example, it can be used to animate a progress bar or show records in a text field. And finally, onPausedExecute is invoked in the user interface thread after the end of the background computation. The result of the background calculation is passed to this method as a parameter.